This is Tanoa Lynn Poirier, and I want to welcome you to Comm-Unity Conversations on WNN 95.3 FM and 1470 AM. This show is about you. I want to hear your trials and triumphs, challenges and victories, and how you overcome obstacles every day in our dynamic industry. All callers are welcome to join Community Conversations. This is where we'll discuss all things in common. We'll discuss managers, directors, vendors, and owners. Let's elevate the conversation. Raise the bar. Start here, now. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Friday. You're listening to Community Conversations with Tanoa. I'm your host, Tanoa Lynn Poirier. We're going to spend the next 28 or so minutes together. So thank you for investing your time with me. I think you're going to enjoy today's show. It's all about practicing positivity and kind of real-world positivity. In a minute, I'm going to introduce our guest, whom you know and love as much as I do. I want to just remind you that the show is sponsored by Trusted Construction. They are a general contractor here in Palm Beach County, Florida, and they can help you with anything that your heart desires. If you can dream it, they can build it. So if you are a homeowner or you are in a community board of directors or a manager, and you're looking for somebody who can help your association fulfill its goals, for 2018, we're all in the planning stage, so I want to encourage you to reach out to Trusted Construction. You can reach them at 561-582-5758. Another thing on my heart, as you know, the last few shows, kind of since Thanksgiving, I really, during this giving season, have wanted people to concentrate on what speaks to their heart relative to where to give. And I reminded you that I'm giving to Blessings in a Backpack, and they are an organization that provides some security for children who have food insecurity, which is a real issue in this country. You can imagine, and I can't, because I've never been hungry where I didn't know where my next meal was coming from, but that happens in this country, where children go to school and they may be in a program where they get to have a little breakfast and a little lunch, and maybe they don't get dinner, but they know the next day at school they're going to get something to eat. On the weekends and during the holidays, there's an insecurity there. So I want you to just think about, they don't know me. I'm not paid to do this. I'm just telling you that this speaks to my heart. So if you can give something this season, whatever that is, money, time, you know what? If you don't have either of those, how about giving blood? You could save someone's life by just donating blood. Contact your local blood donation centers. They are called different things in different areas of the country. So everybody has something they can give. Would you think about it this season? Okay. Without further ado, I don't want to just go on and on because it's not about me. It's about Tom Willis, who is our guest today. Tom Willis is the owner of Association Bridge. He is a professional CAM. That's a PCAM. It is the highest designation you can get in the community association industry. He is also called the Manager Whisperer. He's talked me down off the ledge. As I mentioned the last time he was here, more than once, and actually recently. And we were talking about how we are a little more disciplined and how we can practice real-world positivity. I've got a pen and some paper because I can't wait to make some notes with Tom Willis. And I would like to welcome Tom Willis to the show. Welcome, Tom.
Good afternoon, Tanoa. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Good afternoon. I am so excited to have you on again because I always feel better after I spend some time with you, and I know the listeners are going to feel the same way. We talked earlier, I'm not going to drone on as I want to do because I want to hear your pearls, but we kind of talked about ways we have to practice positivity. It is not something that is just going to happen without some life disciplines and making a choice about being positive, particularly in our industry when we're the chief complaint department and problem solver, can be a downer sometimes. So if you add all of the social media and what you hear kind of in the world with print and social media and news, it's a downer. So you got to feed your soul. Would you agree that's a good place to start?
I think this is as good a place as any.
All right.
I think that I think in our industry, whether we're board members or professionals that serve volunteer leaders, I think we're probably impacted in the same way everyone's impacted universally, but I do think we probably have some specific challenges, and you really hit on them. I mean, the first thing in terms of negativity, excuse me, I remember when I started studying it some years ago, I read a bunch of statistics. I have no idea if any of them are accurate, but they used to say that for just moving about, doing business, especially with the public, watching the news, just daily life, that we get roughly anywhere from 7 to 12 negative inputs for every positive input.
Wow.
Which is scary. And that was before the current atmosphere. I think a lot of us have begun to feel a lot more pressure. The public discourse seems to be increasingly coarse. And people tend to feel it. I've heard these times described as critical times hard to deal with, and I don't disagree with that. So we've got a lot of negative things coming at us. And on top of that, our jobs, I think by design, it should be a positive thing, but we can take it negatively because we're problem solvers.
Right.
People don't call us because everything's great. Nothing to talk
Rarely.
about, right?
Right.
And when they do, we're dancing a jig.
Oh,
That's like
and we're recording it for later.
Absolutely. But they're calling us not to be difficult, but because there's an issue there.
Right.
And so starting from the practical, I think maybe in our industry we need to change the way we think and discipline ourselves to think about our roles a little bit differently. So when you think about it, I think it was Henry J. Kaiser said that problems are nothing but opportunities in workman's clothing.
Would you repeat that? Because that is really good.
Yeah, problems are nothing but, and I'm probably messing this up a little bit, but problems are opportunity in workman's clothing.
I love it.
People, right?
Yeah.
So we naturally avoid problems because it's work. But let's flip it around, and let's use a typical example for us. Everybody hates rules, and boards especially, when a problem happens in a community, the first reaction is we got to make a rule.
Right.
Well, first of all, less is more. Second of all, nobody wants to be controlled. Nobody does.
Right.
And yet, we're all programmed to be problem solvers. And how do you solve a problem? You identify the issue, you look at potential solutions, and you attack the problem. Regrettably, we communicate the way we think. And I've read memos and announcements of news of resolutions and rules and policies coming out, and they start off, as you're aware, we've had a problem with X. Haven't spent a few years in Catholic school. That's it. I just got whacked with a ruler. That's it. I'm gone. You lost me. But isn't that a missed opportunity? Because the truth of the matter is, the whole reason this solution came about was to make the community better.
Right.
So why don't we lead with that? Why aren't we saying we're happy to announce that we came up with a process, a solution, a whatever, that makes life at the Happy Acres HOA even better than it already is and should contribute to the quality of life of every single one of us here?
And that, stating it that way, is a positive way to state it than saying, because you all won't read your documents and you failed again, that we're going to have to tighten up the rules because you're all bad people. That's a very different approach.
It's a very negative approach.
Right.
And if you go from the current niche of positive psychology that started with Alfred Adler and William James way back in the day, they're just finally calling it positive psychology, or going to leadership theory with Kouzes and Posner, we attack problems, but we're always in the negative that way. Why don't we do the other opposite side? What do we do well, and how can we replicate that success? A completely opposite way to think about it.
And it's good. It's good.
Absolutely, because that's where the success is going to come from. And when you flip your brain to get into the disciplines of thinking that way, it actually opens a whole lot of stuff up. So, and think about the success of that as well. I now have communicated in our rule example something that can mean something to the recipient. That means that we've just formed a partnership with that person. We came up with something that everybody's going to be a win-win. By the time I finally figure out that I'm being asked to do a rule, at least I can buy into it.
Right. And it feels different, too. That's
100%.
So even if you're not 100% on board with the rule, you're not automatically have the walls up because the approach has been positive. and looking to
Right.
solve a problem rather than penalize.
Correct. And what I would suggest, and this again goes back to mental discipline, is that we're not Pollyanna here. There's going to be conflict. People aren't going to like it, and not everybody's going to buy in, and that's okay.
Right.
But if we're negative, they're definitely not going to buy in. If we're positive, they may well. And even if they don't in the long run, we can still forge something. I still remember a particular client. It was when I got a big promotion a while ago. The last place I was on site, I left to be the right-hand man for a management company, director of community management. I made a big mistake and allowed them or recommended somebody to be hired to replace me who completely blew the place up. I learned. That's okay. Sometimes you can trust your first gut instinct, and when I thought she was a very scary person, I was actually right, but whatever.
The gut told you, right?
It told me.
Yeah.
Some years later, we got a call back from the client, and the person that called my boss, the president of the company, was one of those folks that was kind of cantankerous. And I still remember what he told me she said, which was, we didn't always agree with Tom, but we always knew why he was saying what he was saying, and he always let us know what was happening. He wasn't defensive.
Wow. That's really good. That's a huge compliment, Tom.
Well, but the point is this. That's just the byproduct of a way of doing business that's different than sometimes the way managers are trained.
Right.
And boards. We tend to assume that it's going to be negative, and we create negative cycles when in point of fact is if we can recognize what the commonality is, if I was the homeowner, if I was the client, how would I want to be treated? What a concept, gosh, what do they call it, golden rule, right?
Yes.
Stop communicating from our perspective. This is all emotional intelligence, one of the features of emotional intelligence, and this comes down to being intentional about life. It's very easy to be a victim. Yeah. It's very easy to have attitude by accident.
Explain that one to me. Explain that, attitude by accident.
So a lot of people, if the weather's good, they have a good day. If their spouse is having a good day, they have a good day. If the people around them are negative, they have a bad day. If they have a flat tire, they have a bad day. They're walking into the day allowing whatever happens to them to dictate whether they feel good or not.
Instead of intentionality.
Correct.
Yeah.
Walking in with a plan.
Yeah.
Walking in being clear on what we do. Walking in recognizing what the possibilities are.
Right.
And that requires a little bit of thought. And so when you think of the 5 elements of emotional intelligence, they are self-awareness, followed by self-regulation, followed by motivation, followed by empathy, followed by social skill. It all starts with self-awareness. Where are you at? And I think we have a tendency to fall into that victim trap, that we just react to however we feel. What we forget is the old school fake it till you make it actually works.
Sure.
The activities you do impact your mood. If you allow your mood to impact your activities, you never get out of the negative cycle.
That's so true. And it's simple, but it's true.
Well, it's simple, and it's backed up. I mean, if you go back to, let me see if I can, here it is. So this Alfred Adler, renowned in the early 20th century, he said this: when people have difficulty speaking assertively, responding with some measure of empathy, the clinician, he was speaking to psychologists, might encourage them to act as if they were assertive or empathetic several times a day until the next session. As people begin to act differently and to feel differently, they become different. Mm-hmm. And so we don't always control the things we think about. We allow these things to flow in. You and I joked about cutting down the amount of news that we watched because it was not helping us get where we needed to go.
Oh,
we're not
man.
saying that we,
yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, are we saying that we want people to be ignorant? Absolutely not. But consider what your channels are. Mm-hmm. Decide what you want to learn, but don't let it consume you. Earl Nightingale said it this way a long time ago. He says, "You become what you think about all day long."
It's so true. That's true. Absolutely.
Hang around people that are talking negative stuff. Yep. You're listening to negative information.
Yeah.
You become it.
Yep. You do.
And then And one book that I do recommend, it's called The Little Gold Book of Yes Attitude. It's written by Jeffrey Gitomer, a guy that you and I talked about from time to time. He's a sales guy. There's some things in the book I'm not sure I completely buy into, but it is true. And he put it this way. He says it's your thoughts behind the words you speak that create your attitude.
Expand on that for me.
Okay. So what you think about eventually comes out of your mouth. Old scriptures, right?
I think there's out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. I think
exactly.
there's
I was about to quote the scripture too. So
quoting scripture now. Oh, we're having church up in here.
Okay, you know what? It's a universal concept that makes sense. I just gave you the secular side, so it actually works.
Yes.
The truth of the matter is, and that's where self-awareness comes in and emotional intelligence. Finding those quiet moments to reflect on what you say and how you say it. Having trusted people to give you feedback, say, this is the kind of person I want to be. How's it working out? What do you hear me saying? Can tell you a lot about where your heart is. Tell you a lot where your head is. Well, here's the thing about the heart and the head. It's like a garden. And we already said that you get a lot of negative inputs in unless you take action. And one of the ways I heard it best illustrated was an old talk that was given a long time ago. And this is definitely, I'm stealing this, I didn't make it up. But I use it in my time management classes where I ask if there are any gardeners. And yeah, sure, whatever. Say, okay, so if you plant flowers, you get, and the crowd says flowers. And if you plant weeds, for whatever reason, you would get, and everybody says weeds. And if you plant nothing, you get, half the crowd will say nothing.
Right.
But you and I know that what you get is weeds.
Right.
Our mind's like that garden.
Yes.
If we allow stuff to just come in and not tend to it from time to time, and if we don't decide what's important and what will benefit us and the people around us and plant those things and tend to that garden, we're going to get overcome by weeds.
Oh, okay. Hold that thought. Yes. Are you all listening? This is really, I have a pen. I'm going to replay this show myself, but this is some really good wisdom. I am picking up what Tom is laying down today. We've got to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to continue this garden analogy and other pearls of wisdom from Mr. Tom Willis. See you back in 2. Imagine having one place you can call for all your residential needs, whether it's housekeeping, repairs, remodeling, pet sitting, laundry, or anything else your heart desires. La Concierge Services is your answer. Our qualified staff is carefully chosen, experienced, licensed, and insured. They are prompt, professional, and courteous. La Concierge Services is honored to serve in South Florida's most exclusive communities. With La Concierge Services, you have a full-service, personal concierge. We would love the opportunity to earn your business. Call 561-819-2059 for more information. La Concierge Services, your personal concierge. What is on everyone's mind these days when they think of starting a project in their home or community? Where can I find a qualified, certified, and licensed contractor I can trust? Allow me to introduce you to Trusted Construction. They have provided expert construction and roofing services in South Florida since 2009. Trusted Construction has earned a reputation for superior, consistent, dependable service. Trusted Construction will guide you from project conception to completion. Call 561-582-5758. Tell them Tanoa sent you. Hello, listeners. It's Tanoa Lynn from Community Conversations. Did you know I authored a book called 365 Tips for Community Association Managers, Property Managers, and Property Owners? Yep, I did. The book is filled with little, bite-sized morsels that may help anyone working and living in any community. From working with difficult people to building consensus for big projects. There is something in it for everyone. 365 Tips is available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You can also go online to hellotanoa.com. That's hello, Tanoa.com. Welcome back. This is Tanoa Lynn Poirier with Community Conversations. And I want to remind you that this show is about you. If you'd like to join the show, you can call us at 888-565-1470. Let's get back to the show. Okay, well, we are back, and before the break, you were listening to Tom Willis, owner of Association Bridge. I just wanted to give you a little more information about Mr. Willis. He is active in the Washington Metro chapter of CAI, that's Community Association Institute. It's an industry leader in all things that promote community associations. He received the chapter's Educator of the Year award 4 times and was inducted into its Hall of Fame in 2014. He's so fabulous. He also authors articles on a variety of topics in the CAI chapters and has published articles nationally in CAI's Common Ground, which is an industry publication. And as I said to you, he is the manager whisperer. He has the most amazing talent of distilling problems and finding the kernel so that we can create solutions. And I'm just thrilled that I found him, and I found him on social media. That social media stuff works, audience. So welcome back, Tom.
Oh, man, you always embarrass me.
Yeah, you're embarrassed, a little embarrassed. Don't be. You're fabulous. So you were talking about this garden analogy about how we, one, are what we sort of think, right? And so if all of this negative input is what your steady diet is, you're going to become a crabby person. And I actually have a graphic for the audience. If my producer would be kind enough to share that graphic with the audience. It is, I think I was able to do that. I was able to do that, and he's going to put that up in a minute. But it's kind of what we were talking about. So if you want to explain what the crab graphic is about, we'll have it before the end of the show, but then people will have a reference about what they're looking at.
Sure. That was a slide from one of the time management programs I did. It was actually a card from one of the most positive people I know, a gentleman named Doug Hinken, who, if he ever teaches insurance in Florida, go to it. He's a brilliant guy. He's also one of the most good-humored guys I know. And it wasn't until I sat down with him after a conference that we shared some really deep things in our lives, and both of us have had some very difficult things to deal with. And you realized how much depth was to this guy. And those one-on-one communications, I think, are one of the things that I do love about this industry, because it's the people that like to give, that see the bigger picture of things, that I think we build a bond. That's how you and I got together.
That's right.
You know, I'm listening to your intro about raising the bar and all that. I'm thinking, that's how we started talking.
Absolutely.
About all the opportunities we have to help people's lives to be better in our industry that most people just don't realize. So he sent me a card out of the blue, and it was just a Happy New Year sort of a card, and it was pure Doug. In the front, it was a crab, and I'm, what? I opened the crab up, and it's a crab with a party hat, exactly a crab. And I thought, you know what? That's so real world, because a lot of this positive stuff, people will get turned off by it. They think it's soft skills. They think it's all Pollyanna, but life's hard.
Life is hard.
Even if we have a positive attitude, difficult things are going to happen, period.
Right.
It isn't all Pollyanna.
Right.
This whole universe will give you in relation to everything oh, come on.
Right.
The evidence is a lot of innocent people go through horrible
yes.
things. That's the reality. But you know what? If you're going to go through a horrible thing, at least be armed. At least see if you've got some tools to get through this thing. And that's what we're really talking about. So if you're going to be a crab, at least be a party crab.
That's so good, and it's still up, and it's really fun. There was a full-screen graphic of that, so people can have a look at that. And then, with your permission, I'm going to add that to the show notes for later for folks. But I think it's right. If you're going to be a crab, be a party crab. Find the tools for yourself, the discipline. If it's in You and I Talk, for me, it's listening to music in the car as much as possible. And I'm kind of a disco girl. That's my thing. I'm a disco girl.
Guitar.
Yeah. And so you like learning in the car. I've learned to play the guitar. Lots of things that kind of feed my soul. But you have to step away from things that tend to be a downer. Get informed. Read what it is you need to read, but if it's a steady diet in the house, in the car, after work, at work, you're going to start becoming something that you're not going to recognize about yourself or like very much. And I'm not sure the people around you are going to like it very much.
I agree. And even if you don't feel like doing it, do something.
Yes.
Given the choice between doing nothing and something, always do something, even if it's little.
Right. Because it's incremental. So
Absolutely.
You'll have a little success and you're like, well, that feels better. So then you're going to continue to sort of want that positive feeling, but you have to make a choice to do something. So if you just turn off the news on your way to work and you want to listen to it on the way home from work, make some incremental change that is going to create some positivity in your life, because it is life is difficult every day, but it's a choice.
True. And I think if we have time to add one little thing.
Yes, we do.
Don't wait until you feel better to act better. That's the other thing. And there's a chemical backup to this. I always kind of I do this little thing where if I was having a crummy day, I'd walk to lunch and I'd try to make eye contact with people and see how many people I could make smile on a walk.
That's so good.
So silly. And some people do think you're insane, so you got to be careful. But the point is, I always felt better, and somebody a whole lot smarter than me or you said there's more happiness in giving than receiving.
I may have said
There's a medical backup to that. It's called oxytocin. When we are generous, when we give of ourselves, the body will release oxytocin, and it feels great. So when that complaining owner calls, or the person that's having a bad day, recognize you might be the only nice person that person talks to all day long.
Oh, man, that is the perfect place to leave off. I want to thank Tom Willis, who's coming back, if I have to drag him screaming, because I always feel better, and I do. Thank you, Tom, for investing your time with me. It's a choice, and you've invested in it, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure, my dear.
I'd like to thank our sponsor again, Trusted Construction. You need them. If you have a dream, he can help you fulfill that. Trusted Construction, General Contractors, 561-582-5758. Listen, listeners, please give this season whatever touches your heart. Be a blessing to somebody today. Thank you for spending some time with me. I've enjoyed it. It's my honor. Have a great one. Bye. You have been listening to Community Conversations with Tanoa Lynn Poirier. It is my honor to host this program, and I appreciate you listening. We have an exciting show planned for you next week, so mark your calendars and join me every Friday at 5 p.m. on WNN 95.3 FM and 1470 AM. We look forward to hearing from you, our listeners. It's all about learning, sharing, and teaching. We're all in this together. Until next time, be a blessing to someone and endeavor to persevere.
45422. That's AMP2.TV. All County Healthcare, Inc. is locally owned and operated, serving the Tri-County area, Palm Beach, Dade, and Broward counties for the last 25 years. The practice of medicine is changing dramatically. All County Healthcare, Inc. still does it the old-fashioned way, where our nurses and healthcare professionals come into your home to serve